Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy? Sports and Fitness Rants. I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back, man. Got another great video for you guys today. As usual, you guys know the deal on this channel. We must continue to set the record straight, stop the lies, stop the narratives. Stop them from rewriting history. We must continue to stand up, man. And I want to thank all you guys, man, for standing up with me. And in this video, we're going to talk about something that I've talked about several times on this channel. And it's this idea that Michael Jordan was guarded by shorter players, shorter guards, the quote-unquote unathletic white guys. You know, all of these things that you hear these days from these fake fans, right? These people who don't know about the history of the game, don't respect the history of the game. They want you to believe that Michael Jordan was guarded by all short players, when in fact, indeed, it was LeBron James who has been guarded by short players most of his career. And we're going to talk about it in this video, guys. I want to thank everyone out there, everyone across the world, everyone across the states, man. Much respect to all you guys out there. For real, guys. I'm truly humbled by all the support, man. We must continue to stand up and stop the lies. We must continue to set the record straight, man. So much respect to all you guys. Shout out to everybody, for real, man. And you guys know what to do, man. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes. And let's roll. So yes, guys, like I said, man, you hear this many times. You'll hear people try to say that Michael Jordan was guarded by quote-unquote shorter players, right? Michael Jordan was guarded by unathletic white guys. These are the kinds of things that you'll hear people say now to discredit Michael Jordan, his era, and take away from his greatness, right? This is how they explain Michael Jordan being 6-0 in the NBA Finals. This is how they explain the greatness that Michael Jordan showed on the basketball court by saying that he played against shorter players. And it's a casual argument that you hear people make because, once again, they do not obviously know the history of the game. They must not have been there and watched these things growing up, because Michael Jordan was not only guarded by shorter guys or guys that were perceived as shorter than him or unathletic white guys, right? I've told you guys many times there was a reason why you would see oftentimes shorter quicker players guarding Michael Jordan, right? There was a reason for those things, right? It wasn't because those were the only players around. All the shooting guards when Michael Jordan played were somehow 6'3" or 6'4". They were shorter than Michael Jordan. That's not the case, guys. I told you, man. Michael Jordan played in the tallest era in NBA's history, guys. Those are the facts. I believe the tallest year on record, I believe, is 1988 or 1989, if I'm not mistaken. So Michael Jordan was not playing with a bunch of short players. You know, like they want to say now there's bigger, stronger, faster. The facts actually show that the era that Michael Jordan played in was actually bigger. These guys were obviously stronger, and they were obviously tougher. But when we think about the facts, it's LeBron James who, in fact, has been guarded by shorter players his entire career, guys. His entire career. These are the facts, man. Because it's LeBron James who always needs to set screens or needs a screen, a pick, right, to get the other defensive players off him, to look for the shorter players. LeBron James hunts for shorter defensive players, for the taller, slower guys. This is what you see a lot now, right? LeBron James will ask for screens to get a center on him or a bigger, slower guy so he could try to use his quickness to go by them. But oftentimes, more often than not, what do you see? LeBron James asking for a screen to get a smaller player on him on the perimeter. So it actually exposes this idea that Michael Jordan was guarded by shorter players when he played. And it actually shows and proves that LeBron James, in fact, has been guarded by shorter players throughout his entire career, guys. And let's just think about the facts here, guys. And we'll just highlight several instances when people like to bring up LeBron James' struggles in the NBA Finals. We think about the 2007 NBA Finals. We think about a Bruce Bowen. Does anybody believe that Bruce Bowen is taller than LeBron James? No, he's not. Bruce Bowen is about 6'7", 6'8". If I'm not mistaken, LeBron James is 6'9", almost 6'10", right? 260 pounds they keep talking to us about. So when we think about that, Bruce Bowen versus LeBron James, who's bigger? Is LeBron James smaller than Bruce Bowen? Was Bruce Bowen towering over LeBron James? And that's what made it so difficult for LeBron James to score? Bruce Bowen, who weighs maybe 200 pounds, is about 40, 50 pounds lighter than a LeBron James. Now, we won't say that was LeBron James at his max in 2007. He was a lighter version of himself, but he was still bigger and taller than a Bruce Bowen. Bruce Bowen was not taller, quote unquote, taller than a LeBron James. So right there, that exposes this idea that LeBron James is going against these huge, hulking defensive players. Also, in that same series, he was guarded by Tony Parker as well as Manu Ginobili. Does anyone believe that Tony Parker or Manu Ginobili are anywhere close to the same height as a LeBron James? No, but if you pull up the 2007 NBA Finals, what you'll see there is many, many times, guys, LeBron James being guarded by Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili or Bruce Bowen. All guys that are smaller, shorter than LeBron James, right? But they want to talk to you about Michael Jordan being guarded by shorter players. If we think about LeBron James' struggles in the 2011 NBA Finals, what do we often talk about? LeBron James being guarded by guys like J.J. Barea, Jason Terry, Jason Kidd. Each one of those players, and this is no disrespect to Jason Kidd, one of the all-time great defensive players at that point guard position. But at that time, Jason Kidd was well past his prime. But even still, Jason Kidd's what, 6'4"? Maybe 6'5". Is LeBron James shorter than Jason Kidd? Is he shorter than Jason Terry or J.J. Barea? No, but somewhere, somehow, some way, we saw that in the NBA Finals. You see video, you see photos of LeBron James being guarded by J.J. Barea, posted up J.J. Barea, Jason Terry. None of those players are taller than LeBron James, but they want you to believe only Michael Jordan was guarded by all short guys, right? Those are the only guys that played in Michael Jordan's era were all these short guys, right? Doesn't add up, guys. It's LeBron James who must be guarded by shorter players. He searches for the screens to get the shorter players on him. How many images have you seen of LeBron James being guarded by Tony Parker in an NBA Finals? I've seen many video, guys, many video of LeBron James being guarded by Tony Parker in an NBA Finals. None of these guys are taller than LeBron James. I've seen video, we have this, of LeBron James being guarded by Steph Curry in an NBA Finals. Steph Curry in an NBA Finals, guys. Come on, man. But they want to talk about Michael Jordan? You see, guys, this is the thing. Oftentimes when you hear people talk about Michael Jordan being guarded by shorter players, quote-unquote shorter guys, there was a reason why there were oftentimes shorter defensive players on Michael Jordan. It was a defensive strategy against Michael Jordan. I've told you, if you grew up in those times and you watched the game, then you know Michael Jordan had the cat-like quickness. So they could not put these taller, bigger players necessarily on Michael Jordan because he would go right by these guys like they were standing still. The taller players, the bigger guys, didn't always necessarily work against a Michael Jordan due to his quickness and his overall game. There was no one type of defensive player. See, people think like, oh, if Michael Jordan was going against this guy or if he was going against that guy, then he would struggle. Michael Jordan went against some of the greatest defensive players in the history of the game, not just at the guard position, but also down low. So, for instance, if you're trying to get past Dennis Rodman or a Joe Dumars on the perimeter, you still have to contend with a John Sally, a Bill Laimbeer, right? A James Edwards down low. Same thing on the perimeter. If you're going against the New York Knicks, for example, you're battling on the perimeter against the John Starks or a Gerald Wilkins. Then once you get past them, you have to deal with the Charles Oakleys, the Patrick Ewings. There was levels to it. It wasn't just Michael Jordan going against these short defensive players of the 80s and the 90s. They put these shorter guys on Michael Jordan because maybe they were quicker than Michael Jordan or as quick or had more quickness than the other players, the taller guys, right? The bigger guys. But remember, they mixed it up on Michael Jordan. So oftentimes, what did you see in a game back in them days? Michael Jordan might start going against one player, but then throughout the game, they're mixed matching different players on Michael Jordan, right? It wasn't just going to be one player on Michael Jordan. You know, for example, the Cleveland Cavaliers. A lot of people like to talk about Craig Elo. Oh, Craig Elo, who's the same height as Michael Jordan. Craig Elo, 6'6", probably weighs more than Michael Jordan, especially back in them early days, the mid to late 80s, when they were battling against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Craig Elo wasn't small, was some little guy, smaller than Michael Jordan. He was just as tall as Michael Jordan, and he was a true competitor. He had grit out there, man, and he gave the effort. But when he went against the Cleveland Cavaliers in those years of 88, in those years of 89, you also had guys like Ron Harper on that team. And they would use multiple defensive plays against Michael Jordan. It wasn't just Craig Elo. They would throw Ron Harper at Michael Jordan. They would double team Michael Jordan with a Brad Daugherty, with a Larry Nance, with a Hot Rod Williams, right? Some of these other guys. It wasn't just one player guarding Michael Jordan, right? When you think about the Portland Trailblazers in the 1992 NBA Finals, you think about Clyde Drexler going against Michael Jordan, but it wasn't just Clyde Drexler. It was also Danny Ainge. It was also Cliff Robinson and Buck Williams and Jerome Kersey. All of these guys helped guarding Michael Jordan, the double teams, right? All of these things. It wasn't just one player guarding Michael Jordan for an entire game or an entire series, and it was just some guy that was shorter than Michael Jordan. So they want to point to a Jeff Hornacek or a Joe Dumars or somebody like that. Meanwhile, someone like a Joe Dumars is one of the elite wing defensive players in the history of the game. Damn the hype. Michael Jordan. See, sometimes people act like Michael Jordan was 6'9" or 6'10". The man was 6'5", 6'6" in sneakers, 190 pounds when he came into the NBA, guys. So essentially, Michael Jordan was 3-4 inches taller than a Steph Curry, but weighed the same amount. But he was still playing in an era with all-time great big men in a physical defensive era where guys would knock you down, put you on your butt. Like I said, so really, where's the advantage for Michael Jordan? Meanwhile, LeBron James not only has always had an advantage on the height over whoever's guarding him, also the weight over whoever's guarding him. As great as Kawhi Leonard is defensively, LeBron James has an advantage of height-wise over Kawhi Leonard and the weight over Kawhi Leonard. But somehow, some way, LeBron James doesn't have the athleticism or the quickness to get past a Kawhi Leonard, the skills to get past a Kawhi Leonard. So LeBron James has always struggled against physical defensive players on the perimeter. You think that LeBron James wouldn't struggle bringing the ball up against a Scottie Pippen or a Michael Jordan or a Ron Harper? Or even a Joe Dumars, a Dennis Rodman, a Sidney Moncrief, a Dennis Johnson. He would struggle against these guys, even though he would have 3, 4, 5 inches on some of these players. Michael Jordan maybe had an inch or two on most of the guys that he went against at certain points. But there were also many times where guys were guarding Michael Jordan that were an inch, 2 inches taller than Michael Jordan, a Clyde Drexler, a Gerald Wilkins, right? A Derek McKee, some of these other players, a Michael Cooper. All these guys are taller than Michael Jordan. It didn't make a difference. A Dennis Rodman. Michael Jordan went against many kinds of defensive players. He never set screens or asked for picks, right? Running in the triangle offense. Michael Jordan would post up bigger guys. He would post up shorter guys. This is why teams had to mismatch guys against Michael Jordan. If you put the shorter guys on him, he would post them up. If you put the bigger guys on him, he would try to go by them, take them on the perimeter. This is Michael Jordan's overall game, moving without the basketball, right? It's harder for the bigger guys to stay with Michael Jordan when he's running all over the court, coming off screens in the triangle offense. The backdoor cuts, the give and goes. This is what Michael Jordan could do that people never talk about. This is why they had to mix match defensive players on Michael Jordan, right? You see in the 1993 NBA Finals, at times, Kevin Johnson guarding Michael Jordan. Why was this? Because Kevin Johnson was quicker than a Dan Marley, right? He was lower to the ground, a better center of gravity to go against a Michael Jordan. But you still had the Danny Ainges there, the Richard Dumases, right? The Dan Marleys that were guarding Michael Jordan. Hell, even Charles Barkley was guarding Michael Jordan, the Tom Chambers of the world. Think about the 1996 NBA Finals. It wasn't just a Gary Payton. Gary Payton guarded Michael Jordan. But they started the series off with Detlef Schrempf guarding Michael Jordan. 6'10" Detlef Schrempf guarding Michael Jordan. And they found out that wasn't working. This is part of the reason why they went down 3-0, right in the beginning of that series. They had 6'10" Detlef Schrempf guarding Michael Jordan. But you also had guys like Hershey Hawkins guarding Michael Jordan, the Nate McMillans, the Gary Paytons, right? You had to mix all kinds of defensive players. I even saw Michael Jordan posting up Shawn Kemp in the NBA Finals in 1996, guys. There was never one defensive player going against Michael Jordan. It was never Michael Jordan being guarded by little white guys or unathletic white guys or shorter guys. Michael Jordan was routinely guarded by the other team's best perimeter defensive player, whoever it was. It didn't matter how tall they were or necessarily. I told you, it was never about the name on the back of the jersey. The Jeff Hornaceks, the Danny Ainges, the Dan Marleys, some of the guys that people do not know, the John Starks of the world, the Gerald Wilkins. These guys were legit defensive players that gave the effort, that played with heart and grit. A lot of people don't realize this, man. Right? Some people, give me Dan Marley defensively over a Klay Thompson. Right? But people will talk about Klay Thompson's elite defensive abilities, who also guarded LeBron James in NBA Finals. Is Klay Thompson taller than LeBron James? No. The same difference between a Klay Thompson and LeBron James is the same difference between a Michael Jordan, a Jeff Hornacek, or a Joe Dumars. Some of these other guys that were perhaps 6'4" and Michael Jordan 6'6", right? But they don't want to talk about these things, right? The Sidney Moncriefs, the Albert Robertsons, right? They don't want to talk about these things, guys. They just want to label Michael Jordan's guarded by short players. Michael Jordan was guarded all kinds of players. And remember, Michael Jordan played in an era where once he got past the perimeter defensive players, he had to go in the paint with the trees, the elite shot blockers, the guys who played physical that would give you elbows, the shoulders, the knees, all of this stuff, guys. Once you got to that paint area, there was no easy baskets or easy layups. None of this stuff, man. You had to earn it back in them days. And those guys gave the effort on the defensive end. But it's been LeBron James in his career who's always looked for the easier matchups, always ducked the smoke, always switching screens, always calling for a screen, setting a screen to get a smaller defensive player on him. And we've seen LeBron James through his entire career always being guarded by shorter guys, smaller players. Like I said, guys, think about Andre Iguodala. Is he taller than LeBron James? Is he bigger than LeBron James? No. But somehow, some way, LeBron James still can't manage to post up an Andre Iguodala consistently, right? Or get him off out of his personal space because he don't have the handling ability, the skills like that, the overall offensive game, right? Come on, man. We saw Kevin Durant guard LeBron James. Skinny Kevin Durant that weighs, what, 200 pounds soaking wet. Little skinny Kevin Durant going against LeBron James, who's supposed to be one of the strongest guys. He's always flexing on people, spends millions on his body. He got skinny, little scrawny Kevin Durant guarding him, though. But we want to talk about Michael Jordan wasn't being guarded by anybody. I saw Michael Jordan posting up Anthony Mason. I've told you guys this, man. Nick Anderson. Like, all these guys, man. There's plenty of guys that are Michael Jordan's height or taller and guys that were short. I told you, anyone that uses that argument did not grow back in them days watching basketball and do not understand why Michael Jordan and some of these teams would put shorter guys. That was part of the way that they approached Michael Jordan. That was part of the game plan. That was a defensive strategy. You could not put one type of defensive play on Michael Jordan, man, and think that that was going to work for the entire game or the entire series, guys. You know the deal. It's LeBron James who has had shorter, slower guys guarding him his entire career. These are the matchups he looks for. He wants the taller, slower guys or the smaller, weaker guys on him. It's one or the other, man, because he don't have the ability, the skills, the triple threat position skills, none of this stuff to get the elite wing defensive players off him or guys that are even close to his size. None of these guys are LeBron James' size, but only Michael Jordan played against slow, unathletic white guys and shorter guys. You guys know the deal, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.